Hello, Ellipticals! We have a little surprise for you today. Penelope came home this afternoon and said she wanted to make a vlog. And, what is this vlog about? You still haven't told me.
I want to make a vlog about the fallibility of man.
Do you have a scientific angle on that?
I was kind of hoping you would.
What do you mean?
Like all of your stories always have some sort of meaning.
Oh, right, your themes, like Alan Turing and the Deep Toll of Secrets or whatever.
Yeah, that's exactly.
So what did you want to vlog about exactly?
The fallibility of man. Okay, so I'm writing this. Sorry. Okay, so I'm writing this paper on the origins of science fiction, and I'm doing this research and reading articles about people who are trying to predict the future at the turn of the century. And it turned out that they were all wrong. Not just a little wrong, wildly wrong. So then I started to read articles of people now trying to predict what the world will be like in 2100. And I can't help but think, how arrogant to think that we can see what's coming.
Well, sometimes we can, with some wiggle room anyway. We can project the paths of hurricanes.
Okay, but can you predict the path of a hurricane 10 years from now?
So you want a scientific story about failing to predict the future?
About trying to predict the future and then turning out to be wrong.
I don't know if I have a story exactly like that.
Oh, come on. Sure you do. Somewhere in the thousands of years of science history that you have committed to memory, someone must have, like, heavily invested in Betamax.
Well, sure, but I don't know that person by name. Well, your mom?
No. It's actually this guy that I met at the publishing conference I went to a few weeks ago. Well, he was there, but that's not where I met him. We were actually both waiting in line for an Andrew Bird concert, and we got talking about Farscape, and, you know, there aren't many people I can talk to about Farscape, so...
You like it.
Yeah. So... Okay, but anyways, alright, you do vlogs about science, you tell science stories. Help me out here.
I guess there's something to be said for the fact that we never know where the next big world-changing discovery will come from. Think about penicillin. A lot of those mistaken discovery stories are made up, but Alexander Fleming really did discover penicillin when he left a petri dish out. In 1900, the leading cause of death worldwide was pneumonia. Today, it's heart disease. If you were a smart person in 1900, you would have fantasized about a drug that could cure infections the way penicillin does, but it really would have sounded like a fantasy.
See? That's a story about the fallibility of man.
Although.
No, although. No, forget about the facts for a minute and just let me have my story.
Although, Alexander Fleming discovered penicillin in 1928, but it took 16 years and a world war before it was mass-produced. Fleming wasn't a chemist, so he couldn't actually do anything himself, and it took about a decade for anyone to pay attention to his discovery because apparently he was a notoriously bad communicator. And then, after Howard Florey and Ernst Chain finally made an actual usable drug out of penicillin in 1938, it still took years to find a way to effectively mass-produce it. If you'd been paying attention during that time, you could have guessed that they'd eventually find the right strain of penicillium mold to beat pneumonia. And come to think of it, Florey and Chain only started working on penicillin because Florey knew that certain kinds of mold had antibacterial properties because other people had observed similar effects decades before Fleming. I think with a lot of scientific discoveries, it isn't out of nowhere. Not really. It's right in front of you. You just have to pay attention.
So, pneumonia was the leading cause of death a decade and a half after the discovery of penicillin?
Yeah.
Wow. That's a whole other kind of fallibility.
Hey, do you have a headache?
Yeah, I do. How did... Oh, it's not me. It must be you.
It's Brian. He says, we need to talk.